Yeah, do you see the technology on skydiving evolving? Because it seems to me, as far as I can ever remember, I know it started with the military doing static line jumps, and then it evolved into the free fall. But it seems to me like the equipment hasn't really
Oh no, it's changed a lot.
has
Yeah,
yeah
yeah. Oh yeah, the equipment, the gear, the technology that goes into making it is has changed substantially. Um, it's it's safer, it's easier to use. There's and then the equipment itself is just much more advanced. We went from the original parachutes were rounds that you had minimal control over.
yeah
You could kind of turn them, but you couldn't control anything else. And then when you were landing, you just hoped you didn't break something.
yeah
Going from those to those same rounds being changed enough where you could actually create accuracy with your landings. They used to do accuracy competitions with those all the time. Um, then we went to what was called squares. Well, now our canopies aren't square at all. Our canopies are elliptical in nature. They fly amazingly. And then they started doing what's called cross bracing on the inside of those because these are ram air canopies. So the faster they go, the more efficient they are in their movements. And knowing that it's not diving you towards the ground to kill you, it's actually wanting to fly forward and do all this other stuff and changing the pitch on these things and what the materials are made of and how specific sewing patterns and cuts are done, the different types of lines that we use. There used to be just a few different line sets that you put on. Man, there's 20 or 30 literally different types of lines that are made and the thicknesses of them and all this stuff. And so yeah, I mean, same thing like with wingsuits. Like when I first started wingsuiting, it was a suit with some materials, sewn in from the wrist to the hip and then in between the legs. Now these things have ram air uh, wings
hmm.
between the legs and the arms, and they give you the flight characteristics. It's like flying a canopy. As opposed to just gliding down and hoping for the best kind of thing. So, I mean, it's just as people push the limit more, the technology changes. So, it's pretty amazing.
Yeah, I'm glad you said all that because I didn't even realize the micro adjustments that have happened in the equipment because I'm not close to it, right? So I think this is an interesting topic. Where do you see like the equipment evolving in the next 20 years? How do you see? Is there testing being done?
Oh, there's always testing
Yeah,
being done.
I
I
know that's a
mean,
dumb question.
well, no, it's not. It's not a dumb question. If you, I mean, it's there's a reason why there's so many different canopy makers, container makers, different types of devices like the AAD, which, like I said, it's a computer that's its job. It's an automatic activation device. There's several companies out there, and its job is to assume that at a certain altitude, generally somewhere between 700 and 900 feet, if you're still falling at a certain speed, that you're unconscious. And so it's there to deploy your reserve canopy for you because it thinks that you're out for some reason.
Oh, that's badass.
Yeah.
When did that come out?
Oh, they've been around for years,
Yeah.
but they've gotten way better. They used to not be as good. I mean, they're uh, I guess their percentage of working properly has gone way up.
Yeah.
I used to not jump with one. They scared me because in my very first cutaway, if I'd have had one and it worked properly, I would be dead because I would have spun up into my main with because my reserve would have spun into that too. So ever since then, I was guarded against them. And then I finally started using one, and I've never had to have use it, but it's in my container. It's kind of like I guess the old person that's like, oh, I've never been injured in a car wreck. Why do I need to wear a safety belt or seat belt?
Right.
Well, back when I was a kid, we didn't. It wasn't mandatory. Nobody needed it, or nobody was told they needed it. And now, even if the backseat people aren't wearing one, everyone gets a ticket or something like that. So, I mean, it's there because if you need it, you want it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that kind of thing. And so it's the same type deal. There are some drop zones that require you to have them if you go there. There are some that don't. That's up to them. It's up to them. It's not a USPA or FAA thing. I mean, it's one of those deals where it's nice to have, but it's also expensive. And I mean, they run $1,500 just for this device. You know, a brand new container when I first started jumping, if you had an AAD in it, ran you about $5,000. I mean, now you're looking at almost $10,000 for all brand new equipment.
Wow.
So, you know, it's not a cheap hobby.
Yeah.
But you know, once you get the equipment and once you acquire it, it's like scuba diving, right? Buying all the gear is not the cheapest thing to do, but once you have it, then you play with it, you know? So
yeah, for sure. Yeah, and a lot of that stuff you keep for years anyway,
yeah,
so
exactly.
it pays itself off slowly.